Welcome to the stream, everyone. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We got a lot to cover, some huge news with Fani Willis I'm going to get to shortly. And, of course, it's great news for Donald Trump. And what's great news for Donald Trump is good news for America and you and me, of course, Western civilization and everything. But, today, Michael Cohen was on the witness stand. He's getting ripped by Trump's lawyers, and that's a good thing. He's been totally discredited. But, this is a very interesting thing about this crooked judge and this trial in New York that's completely fallen apart without any evidence. All the witnesses have cleared Trump. Michael Cohen was supposed to be their star witness. But what's fascinating to me is that we now know officially, because the prosecution let the corrupt judge know today, the prosecution's final witness is Michael Cohen. They're not calling any other witnesses. So this is such an amazing and beautiful thing that Playboy playmate, Karen McDougal, she's not being called. Why aren't they calling her? She's the one that said she had a 1.5-year affair with Donald Trump. I told you it's not true. I've gone through that a lot. I'm not going to break it down now, but I've talked about that a lot. The prosecution must have come to the conclusion that Karen McDougal's claims against President Trump are not true and will be totally discredited by Trump's legal team, and they've made a decision not to call Karen McDougal. So that means that the prosecution in this New York case is agreeing with what I've been telling you and what you've all been saying and what President Trump has said, that Karen McDougal's lying, or they would have called her. That's a beautiful thing. And the media, of course, aren't reporting this aspect of it, of course, because that's how they are. A truth that makes Trump look good. But I think you guys would probably agree with that. Now, I'm going to get into Fani Willis, but you're welcome to call me live on the stream. It's the same call-in number I use in the mornings. If you're watching live, the toll-free number to call me right here on the YouTube live stream is pinned to the top of the live chat. Okay, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. So Fani Willis, who is as corrupt as the day is long, she's in big trouble. See, all these Georgia court approves the appeal, to hear the appeal to remove Fani Willis, and this is the appeal made by Trump's team. This is a big turning point, because this New York trial where Trump has just been totally cleared. I mean, the only reason the judge has not declared a mistrial is because his daughter took the $10 million from the Biden, Harris, and Adam Schiff campaigns. They took the $10 million. So he can't just declare a mistrial unless he gets permission or they tell him to. Once you take the money, they got you, right? And that's the way it works. But now that the New York case has completely fallen apart, Donald Trump has been completely cleared, and the other cases it's like dominoes now. And rats. It's like rats running off the sinking ship. Let's go through this story. This is in Trending Politics, which is a very good news site, trendingpoliticsnews.com, trendingpoliticsnews.com. You should check it out. Georgia court approves Trump's appeal to remove Fani Willis. And, Fani Willis could very well find herself in her own jail, Fulton County. I mean, she paid a guy like $700,000 to have sex with her, and it wasn't even her money. It'd be bad enough if it was her own money, but it was the government's money. That's like a crime. She's a sugar mama to this gigolo, and paying people to have sex with you, especially with government money, that's like criminal. But everything's falling apart now. I'm going to just read through the article. Things are going from bad to worse for Fani Willis. The Georgia Court of Appeals has given the green light to President Trump's appeal to disqualify the Fulton County District Attorney and her office from the case in the ongoing saga at the Fulton County. This is amazing. It's amazing. And now that he's being cleared in New York, we're going to find these other ones go away. This development comes after Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McCaffrey decided Willis could continue leading the investigation, provided Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, that's the gigolo, bowed out. And, once the court goes through this, if Trump wasn't coming back to the White House, and if Trump was not being cleared of these things all the time, like is going on in New York, the documents case is falling apart here in Florida. That's been exposed. The judge is doing a great job there, Judge Cannon. She's doing a wonderful job, the Trump-appointed judge. Thankfully, we got a real judge, right, in the documents case here in Florida. Everything's falling apart, and he's coming back into power. And because he's coming back into power, these people that have been involved in all this lawfare corruption, committing all kinds of crimes, abuses of their powers and authorities and the offices that they hold, they're running like rats off a ship because they're afraid that they're going to go to jail. And that's the way it is. I mean, and Bragg's in trouble. Jack Smith's in trouble. Fani Willis is in big trouble. That money she paid Nathan Wade, that's some big. I mean, that's like Michael Cohen level stuff, right? So what I call this is the Trump miracle, really. If you look at it, what President Trump has been put through in the last 3.5 years is insane. On January 6th, what did they do? They cut him off of everything. Cut him off of all the social media. They cut him off of television. They isolated him. He leaves office. He comes home here to Florida up the street. And what happens? They break into his house. They arrest him. They get mugshots. They got like 5 cases going. They got civil cases, criminal cases. I mean, you look at the level of investigations that have been put against President Trump. He's come out winning each and every time. And if you look at everything they've done, right, since he came down the escalator, because when they started spying on him in Trump Tower, the government has probably spent $1 to $2 billion with a B doing all of these investigations and everything against him, and they have found nothing. CR, gifted a membership. That's awesome. Thanks so much. And Connie in the chat is the recipient of that gifted membership, CR. That's awesome. Thanks so much. If you're a member, by the way, I did a video this morning for members only, so go and check that out. It's a little more casual, and I reveal some things that I may not normally reveal during the regular streams and stuff. So check that out. Members only video. Go check it out. So, you look at the level of investigations that have been against him. $1 to $2 billion easily, just in on all these illegal investigations in all these years. I mean, keep in mind, this has been going on since 2015, right? When he comes into office, it'll be a decade of this crap. And he is still, they got nothing on him. And I really it's so amazing. They just cannot fathom that someone can be so rich, so famous, so successful, and not have any skeletons in their closet. They've even tried to manufacture them and have not been able to. It's a miracle. Now, Joe Biden, they came out with this BS story today. Did you see this? Joe Biden, who believes this crap, right? Joe Biden is carrying debt of up to $815,000, according to the financial records. As it's revealed, he and First Lady Jill failed to net royalties from 3 of their book titles due to lackluster sales. Is there anyone who believes that Joe Biden is $815,000 in debt? This, first off, if this were true, and it's not, okay, this is a cover story because he's a criminal, and they're floating this story because they want people to not think that he's corrupt, and he is corrupt, okay? But if this story was true, I want you to think about this. And if you're a Democrat, a liberal, progressive, or something, really think I'd like to hear an answer from this. This story's not true, okay? Biden's got all of his money laundered. Everything he has are straw purchases with his crooked, corrupt family, his junkie kids, and all that stuff. But if this story were true that's being reported today, that Joe Biden was $815,000 in debt. Here's a guy who we know has made millions of dollars. He's been, successful his whole life. If he is that far in debt, what business does he have being in charge of the largest economy in the world, which is the economy of the United States? Would you hire a financial advisor that was broke and almost $1 million in debt to manage your finances? Would you, come on. Would you hire someone to run your company's finances who was almost $1 million in debt? No, you wouldn't, because that shows that they're a wreck financially and they don't know what they're doing, right? Somebody that's in debt like this at the level that he's at is not someone that you want to put in charge of anything financial. But I don't believe any of it. And because we know he's a crook and he's stealing. But the reason that story is out, it's to try to distract and cover, because Comer has found some new secret bank accounts. Let's go through this. Comer was on with Maria Bartiromo on
House Oversight Committee Chairman
Business.
James Comer has been investigating the Biden family business dealings for more than 2 years. The probe launched the impeachment inquiry of Biden back in September of last year, and it is now entering its final phases. The House Oversight Committee wants Biden to testify, but he is refusing. Back in March, Comer sent this letter to Biden. Quote, "The committee has accounted for over $24 million that has flowed from foreign sources to you, your family, and their business associates. The committee has identified no legitimate services to merit such lucrative payments. You have repeatedly denied playing any role in your family's business activities, but the committee has amassed evidence, including bank records and witness testimony, that wholly contradicts your position on these matters. The committee has identified and successfully traced money from foreign transactions, including from China, straight to your bank accounts. Certain checks have been described as loan repayments. However, the person who provided you free bookkeeping during your time as vice president did not remember any evidence of a loan from your accounts." Joining me now is the man himself.
Okay, so here you got a guy who, through his corruption, they know has made $24 million through these corrupt deals. They have the records of it. And does that include the $10 million in the Cyprus bank account? I'm not sure, and now he's $800,000 in debt, all BS. They're making him look broke, poor, and bankrupt as we go into the election so that they could say he's not corrupt. He's not stealing money from Ukraine funding. Look, he's in debt. All right. So let's go through the article here. James Comer told Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo that his committee found new Biden family bank accounts, new on top of these old ones. And that would not include the Cyprus bank account with the $10 million deposits, because that's old. Comer said the Biden family has dozens of bank accounts and dozens of LLCs without any legitimate business. Comer told Bartiromo that he issued a subpoena for targeted financial information from a certain financial institution related to Jim Biden, Sarah Biden, and Joe's junkie son, Hunter Biden. House Republicans announced they reviewed 170 suspicious activity reports linked to the Biden crime family. This guy, he's been doing crime so long in office since Nixon was in office that he doesn't even know it's criminal, right? He thinks this is just how Washington works. It's just how business works. This is just how you do it. But now, what we're going to start to find is Congress really hasn't done a good job with Biden, okay? I keep hearing Comer talk about these things. This guy should have been impeached 12 times by now, all right? But now that Trump's coming back, the closer we get to the return of Trump to the White House, the less fear people have of Joe Biden. And justice is coming. There will be people who are busted and have all kinds of he may not go to jail, but his son and his brother, they could. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean, what's up?
Well, the most investigated person of all time, they've done everything to him. It's clear. And this is amazing. Donald Trump, it's just unbelievable. A force that keeps on rising and rising and rising. This is a glorious thing to see.
Absolutely.
it's just absolutely incredible, you know, and it's unbelievable to see how he's playing through all this, and in this whole thing with Fani Willis is just absolutely amazing. It's just one more step. And
Yep.
Another thing too is what I love is how strategic he is, because one thing that I've seen too is like every time, like in New York, this corruption in New York, every time he steps out of that courtroom, there's two things he's doing. One, he has different Republicans coming forth to talk. The media has to cover this. So they're showing them talking, right?
Yep.
And another thing that he's doing, and this is the 10 steps he's ahead of everybody. He's coming out, instead of just talking about the court, he's talking about the issues going on in the country, because this is an issues campaign. And he's getting the press to forcefully get the press.
Well,
to say,
what he's done is amazing. And I know that like Romney and some of the others have been whining about it all week. But he has unified the top most powerful people in the Republican Party behind him. So they took over the RNC, the Trump family. He's had the top Republicans come to court with him each and every day. I know they're trying to say these are vice presidential auditions. I don't think they're auditions. I think he's got a pretty good idea, if not for sure, who he's going to pick. It's just he told Marjorie Taylor Greene, lay off Mike Johnson. We need to show party unity. And he put together this unity coalition. The Republican establishment is done. They've been deposed by Trump.
This is true. Yeah, exactly. He's unifying. You know, the symbolism is all throughout with the red ties. This is all part of it. This is all part of a plan, and this is great to see. And but the idea that and him able to get his message out, and it's so funny because he also, what he does is he quotes people when he comes out and talks to the press. Yeah. And gag order, this phony gag order they're trying to do on him. What is this judge going to do next? Try and get him for quoting people? There's no way. And he's smart in how he does all this. And how
and then in the new Congress, when we have our new Congress next year, okay, with Trump in the White House, there's going to be some serious investigations into all of this lawfare, including the money that this corrupt judge in New York's family took from Biden, Harris, big. And all of that. Yeah. And Trump realizes, and we all know, that the most important court is the court of public opinion. That's right.
And everybody, and that's what counts the most. They can try and whitewash this and say, well, what's in the courtroom and what's in what's in Washington. No, that doesn't matter at all. It's about what the people feel and what they see.
That's right.
And more Democrats are seeing this now too. And the Great Awakening has happened. It's not the way the elites wanted it to happen.
Well, Doug Burgum a couple days ago at the press conference outside the courthouse in New York said President Trump has already been acquitted by the public, by the American people. And I'd not heard anybody say that before, and I thought that was such a cool thing that Burgum said.
Well, Burgum, he pays attention to, he's a sharp guy. I didn't know too much about him until, when he put his hat in, and now it's starting to see, the colors come out a little bit, and that's cool. But he's right, though, because it's all about the people's way of thinking and what they feel and what they do. And that's what it's all about. And that's what Trump's all about. Trump, and this is what upsets the elites so much, is that a man, like you just mentioned earlier, he is someone who has all this money, has a lot of power, and made so much out of everything, and he's done so well with his life. And
do you know what? It's such a testament to the character of Trump. People that, by the way, thanks for the call. It's good to hear from you. Hey, caller, hold on. I'll be right with you. Look at these stories of people that win the lottery or inherit money. What do? They go out and get in all kinds of trouble. Donald Trump has more money than you can imagine. They can't find one dirty thing on him, and he's been completely clean his whole life. It's amazing.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call, man. We'll talk again. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Somebody in the chat room this morning, when this morning you called me and I let you go, and people in the chat room were upset. I had a guy on the cruise that told me I'm too rough on you.
Yeah, I know they like me, but
I like you.
You have to be that. Yeah, sometimes you have to be that way because sometimes my calls can get a little bit draggy.
Yeah, the chat. I had some people in the chat. They were really pissed off at me today, and on the cruise, There was one guy in particular. He brought you up like 3 or 4 times to me throughout the whole week on the cruise. He says, "You're so rough on Mike. He's such a nice guy." And I said, "Yeah, but you know, he calls in and he says you're absolutely right and repeats what I said. What am I supposed to do with that? That's terminal." But you agree with that? Right. It's terminal when you do that.
Yeah, it is terminal. Now, as far as remember when Trump said,
"I'm cleared, guys. I'm cleared." Even Mike is agreeing that I didn't get out of control with him. I've been,
Right.
What's on your mind, Mike?
Remember when Trump said you're going to get tired of winning? I never get tired of winning. He's winning all the time. Not only is he winning these court cases, but he's winning in the court of public opinion.
That's right. I know. It's amazing.
That's what scared him with that 100,000 rally in 100,000 person rally in New Jersey, because that's the court of public opinion right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. When you got these liberal guys that are these legal experts that appear on CNN and MSNBC, and they're all saying this court case in New York is a nothing burger.
Well, what I was talking at the beginning of the stream, and this is such a cool. So Michael Cohen, their star witness, is going to be their last witness. That means Karen McDougal, the Playboy sex worker, is not going to testify. So that means the prosecution does not believe her story of a 1.5-year affair with Donald Trump is true. That it'll fall apart on the witness stand. And she's been lying all the. I knew she was lying, but now the prosecution is telling us they don't believe her either. I mean, that's amazing. That McDougal has been doing interviews for years on TV, slandering President Trump, and now he's been cleared of that affair by this prosecution in New York.
And I've said this about this jury. They may hate his guts, this jury in New York, they may hate his guts, but, I mean, it's looking more and more and more like the worst thing they can get is a hung jury, I know.
Well, if it's hung and it's majority in favor of acquittal, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, and that's
I want an acquittal. Look, I want an acquittal, obviously.
These guys, and look, there was a press conference that was held as they were either going in and coming out, and you saw all the guys there with their red ties and all that stuff, showing unity but Marshall Blackburn from Tennessee was wearing a very stylish red jacket.
Yes.
So even the women are showing, even the Republican women are showing unity with President Trump.
And I remember when those idiots in the squad wore those white dresses to the State of the Union, and they were making such a big deal in the press about how cool it was that these people were united and they got the white dress. They're pissed off at these Republicans for being united in the Republican red. And, this is really historic because Republicans do not have a history of unifying like this.
No, and that's the thing. And look, think about this. There was a clip from the Bill Maher deal on HBO, and he was talking about all these cases that are obviously failing, right? And he said, well, the one in Florida is a Trumpy judge, which is true. It's a Trump-appointed judge.
That's right.
But it's failing. And Stormy has nothing because he got into what she said on his show way back in 2018 and all that stuff. So he's admitting that everything's failing as well.
That's right. Well, it's good to talk to you, Mike. I appreciate the call.
All
right. Take care. See? You guys were so pissed off at me this morning because I was short with Mike, and he agreed with me. So that's nice. Isn't he a nice guy, Mike? I tell you, he is. He is. Now, listen, if you'd like to support my content, go to mypillow.com, use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and do some shopping. Father's Day is, it's next month, most important day of the year. And father isn't just your dad. It's also your husband. It could be your husband. It could be your son, it could be your son-in-law. There's lots of fathers, or it could just be yourself. There are so many great deals, and every time you use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you're letting Mike Lindell know that you support all of my content, that you support this program, the radio show, my YouTube channel, my podcast. And I talked to Mike and his assistant, his office, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times a week, and they always tell me how impressed they are with the great response they get from you and this audience, and I want to thank you for that. And right now, some of the lowest prices ever on top MyPillow products, the Giza Dream Sheets. Now, we also have the Percow sheets on our guest bed. I got those Percow sheets because I wanted to try them out. But the Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, just as low as $25, and that 100% Giza cotton, it keeps your body temperature the perfect temperature all night long, no matter if it's cold or hot. And right here in Florida, you may have seen in the news, we're having heat advisories, heat index over 100 degrees. It was 115 in Miami yesterday. When I go to bed at night with my Giza Dream Sheets, I'm cool and comfortable all night long. But you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com. The 6-piece MyPillow towel sets, $25. Of course, that's with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And remember, free shipping on all orders over $75, all right, with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. Oh, yes, the MyPillow coffee. Look at that. 50% off comes in ground, whole bean, and Keurig cups. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. As much as 80% off on top MyPillow products. That's exactly right, R. Farrell. So I appreciate your support over there. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. All right, now, an interesting little story here. Let me pull this up. Look at this. Kamala Harris joked to friends that she may run for California governor if the White House is lost. Oh boy. That means she's jumping ship, is what she's doing. Yeah. Remember Nixon? When Nixon lost to Kennedy, he went and tried to be the governor of California. It didn't work out. That's when he says you won't have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore, is when he lost the governor's race out there. This is an interesting thing. This means she does not plan on being back in the White House next year. And you know how these people operate. They feel like they're nothing unless they hold public office. She's the first female vice president. She's less than mediocre. I mean, she's probably the biggest do-nothing vice president we've had. What has she done? I mean, she's, other than Willie Brown, what has she done? We don't really know, do we? And but she could make it a very good living, spending the rest of her life being the first female interracial, biracial, black, Indian American vice president of the United States. She could make a whole living doing that for the rest of her life and make a lot of money. But that's not good enough for these people. They got to hold office. If they don't have office, they don't have power. They're nothing. So this is putting out feelers to see if there's any interest in her holding that office. If she would have stayed in the Senate, she probably would have had that for the rest of her life. But she thought she was going to be somebody, and she's really been. She has probably embarrassed herself as vice president more than Dan Quayle. Now, Dan Quayle is a good guy, but he had the press after him. But he would always do things and say things that would get him in trouble. But I think she's been a bigger embarrassment publicly than her. Yeah, well, let California have Kamala Harris. California deserves it. I'm sorry. I know we got a lot of California people here, but come on. Can she be worse than Gavin Newsom? I doubt it. But she, it's amazing to me that how did she pass the bar? As dumb as she is, I've often suspected that maybe the California bar is an oral exam, if you know what I mean. But Kim Kardashian passed the bar, and she didn't even go to law school. So maybe the California bar is not that difficult. Now, this Michael Cohen, this is really an amazing thing that's happened with Michael Cohen, because Michael Cohen was supposed to be their star witness. See, now we know why Trump hasn't had any worries through all this lawfare crap. He knew how bad it was going to be for these prosecutors. And, with Michael Cohen on the witness stand, even the leftist in MSNBC's newsroom and CNN say this guy's got no credibility, the star witness. And I saw this live today. Anderson Cooper with this jerk, they're talking about Cohen's testimony. Listen to this. Oh, hold on. I got to turn the volume up. Let's go. All right.
Yeah, that's a common tactic. Anderson, let me ask you, if I can put you in the jury box, having just witnessed that piece of cross-examination, do you have doubts that conversation happened the way Michael Cohen testified on his direct examination, that he called Trump insular?
I think it's absolutely. I think it's devastating, for Michael Cohen's credibility on this, in this one particular
topic. Listen to this.
Whether it's, he just didn't, it's hard to, I don't know. Yes, I think if I was a juror in this case watching that, I would think this guy's making this up as he's going along, or he's making this particular story up. Todd Blanche was pointing out, you were testifying just on Tuesday in this court, and all morning long he's been pointing out, inconsistencies in Michael Cohen's testimony, or at least questionable aspects of Michael Cohen's testimony, but nothing that you would necessarily as a juror think, okay, that's clearly a lie. Maybe that's just he was misunderstanding, or he was bragging, or whatever. This one, Todd Blanche clearly saved this to right before the lunch break, I'm assuming.
Okay, so it goes there. So you notice anytime they're at the courthouse, there's all these sirens in New York City. Man, I tell you, that sounds like a fire truck. There's always a fire or a police car coming by with the full sirens on. Yeah, that's a great place to live. So even Anderson Cooper is unable to craft a narrative of anything other than Michael Cohen's a damn liar, has no credibility, and there's no way that he could even convict Trump based on Michael Cohen's testimony, who is the prosecution's star witness. Think about that, guys. This is amazing, because since the trial is not on television, they can craft any kind of false narrative they want, really. And it could be a he said, she said. But they're not doing that. They're being very out and about how poorly things have gone for the prosecution. Most everyone on MSNBC and CNN. What do you make of that? What do you think that's about? Is it because they see an acquittal coming? It's really unknown how this is going to work, because the powers that be behind the lawfare, they don't want an acquittal. They would much rather have a mistrial, because if they have a mistrial, they can still have the cloud of criminal activity over Trump's head. If that jury comes back not guilty, that's it, right? And he's cleared of all this crap. And all these people in the news, I want you to think about this now. This hush money payment BS. They've been floating this for years against President Trump. All the news media, all the fake news, mainstream, corporate, legacy media, whatever you want to call them, they've been promoting that longer than they were promoting the fake Russian dossier. So what they're all telling us now, Anderson Cooper and all the rest, that this story that they've been reporting as fact for years, like 6 years, with Stormy Daniels, is not true. Now, of course, you're not going to get any retractions. But for these people in the media, like Rachel Maddow still talks about Russiagate as if it's a real thing, even though it's been totally busted as total fiction, right? So when the media are saying this about Cohen and they have no evidence, there's no crime and all this stuff, when they say that, they're admitting, not directly, but they're admitting indirectly, but they know what they're doing. Believe me, this is on their mind, that the last 6-7 years of reporting on Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels has all been false, that they've been wrong all these years. And for them to make an admission like that, well, that's something. And, you got to ask yourself why. Why is CNN so Trump-friendly right now? Why do you think that is? There's lots of possibilities, that they got that debate coming up with Trump and Biden. But I've been watching CNN quite a bit in the last few months, a lot during these last few weeks because of the trial. And you could tell they want Biden out. The powers that be, they're done with Biden. They're done. And, it's I wouldn't say they're giving up on Trump, because they're always going to be giving him a hard time. But the New Jersey rally with 100,000 great Americans in attendance, I think really was a wake-up call to these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. I don't think they realized exactly how powerful and how popular Donald Trump is. And I think that really scared the crap out of them, quite frankly, and woke a lot of them up. And these polls that we're seeing now, they're accepting them as real, and that Trump's a force that can't be stopped. But they know this about Trump. Okay, they know this about Trump. He's only got one term left, and he's not a young man. So what they tell themselves, by the way, if you're new to my channel, subscribe. I live stream every day. I also upload my podcast here, and I'm on the air live every weekday morning. I stream on the weekends. I upload my podcast during the week, and every once in a while, I do live streams randomly like this one. So if you love Trump, you'll love me. If you don't, subscribe anyway, and you will eventually find yourself red-pilled on the Trump train as a MAGA patriot, if you watch me long enough, I promise you, all right? So subscribe if you're not subscribed. But I do believe that they've come to, at least some of these people, have come to an acceptance to a certain extent, especially after the New Jersey rally last week, of how popular President Trump is and how much the American people love him. They know he's only got one term left. He's not young. And they're almost resigned to the idea that he's going to have this last term. And what they tell themselves is, okay, you know, he'll be back, but the next Republican will be someone we can control, right? It's almost like they've given up a little bit. You know, President Trump's family taking over the RNC was a massive blow to the Uniparty, because the Republican establishment with that, when, you know, the RNC is the power of the establishment of the Republican Party because they have all the money. The RNC decides who gets money to run for Congress, senators, congressmen, governors, even state races. They get involved outside of governor. And when the Trump family took over the RNC a few weeks ago, that was a massive defeat of the Paul Ryan, Bush, Romney clans and Karl Rove clans of the Republican Party. A massive defeat that they will never recover from. Okay? And you see this unity out in front of the courthouse each and every day with the press conferences. And when you see these Republicans out there with Trump in the red ties and the red dresses and the red blouses showing unity, and they speak with a passionate defense for President Trump. Now, there's always been some Republicans that hold office that are passionate for Trump, but not like they have been lately, huh? And, you know, there were after January 6th, a lot of Republicans that held office didn't want anything to do with President Trump. Traitors. But there's been a big change. And all these years of those of us that have been with Trump, that are MAGA for life, like I am, and I know most of you guys I hope are too, you know, we put up with a lot of crap. You know, they've concocted all kinds of things to try to slander us. You know, Charlottesville, the Patriot Front, January 6th. You see, you know, remember what they were doing to the parents at the school boards in Virginia. I mean, the list, it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. And through it all, we're being vindicated here. And we are, with President Trump as the leader, draining the swamp. And the swamp draining that President Trump has done during this primary season, taking over the RNC, unifying the Republican leadership, including the speaker. I know Mike Johnson, a lot of problems with him. But, you know, President Trump said he's a good guy. We need him. We need to show unity. He told Marjorie Taylor Greene to back off. And you got to follow President Trump in whatever he says, because he knows what he's doing. He's out there to save this country. Not just make America great again. It's even greater than that. It's to save the country, which we are losing. And, you know, this deportation that President Trump is promising, of the illegals. That is going to be the largest deportation in the Western world's history, probably. And you might not think that's a popular thing. And the left might try to frame it in all kinds of ways and show parents and children being separated and all of that. But I'm going to tell you something. When President Trump comes in to his second term in January, and he is going to have a mandate like no one has had since Roosevelt and the New Deal, and there's going to be massive support for the deportations. People will be cheering the buses and the trains heading to South America with the illegals on them. It's going to be supported like you wouldn't believe. And it's got to be done. It's got to be done, and it's got to be done for a lot of reasons. But it's like what President Trump says. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And our border has been completely erased. And we know why. I don't need to go through all the things that's going on here. But the deportations are going to be hugely popular with the American people. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Michael. How are you in California?
Michael in California. I'm doing all right. How you doing? Kamala wants to be your next governor.
Oh, God help us. I'm moving out if that happens. I'm probably going to go to Arizona if that happens. But anyways, speaking of her, I don't know if you also seen today that she had accepted CBS's invitation for the vice presidential debate that's going to happen this summer as well.
Not even knowing who the opponent is?
Not even knowing who the opponent is, which also tells me that I'm pretty sure Trump already has made up his decision on who his vice president is going to be.
Who do you think?
And you and I talked about it's Burgum. We've talked about this earlier when I called last week. I think it's him because he's going to carry on the MAGA agenda. He's not going to be bought and paid for in 2028. He's been a governor for 8 years. And also another indication that he's the pick. He said he's not going to seek re-election for his governorship this coming election cycle. So
that's right.
That's another indicator right there. He said he wants to quote unquote get him back into the private sector, but that's kind of a lie.
I didn't follow him too much myself either, and when he was running for president, I didn't pay any attention to him. I barely know
who he was.
name. No, I never heard of him before. But the little bit I've seen of him is impressive. But I don't know too much about. I know a little bit of his background, but we don't really know him yet. We thought you think you know these people. I thought we knew DeSantis, and then all of a sudden, but everything I see so far is good. He does have kind of a weird thing when it comes to energy. He's very pro coal and oil and all that stuff, but he also supports a lot of this green crap. So he's got this. I read a little bit about it, not too deeply. I haven't researched it, but he supports both the green crap and the traditional fuels. Okay.
Well, as long as he's not too extreme about it, like AOC, I can totally understand about being environmentally friendly and everything like that, but with not affecting people's livelihoods or stuff like that. But that wouldn't bother me. I would still vote for him over Gavin Newsom any day.
I'm not against the green crap. If you want to have a car that can't make it to its destination, that's up to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm the same way, but I like my gas car. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
I would never buy an electric car. And also, I know this is off subject, but I follow Pablo from Ukraine because of you, Brian.
Yes.
There's a lot of red flags for me regarding that fake Ukraine war. I think the media just shows us old footage, files from previous conflicts between Russia and Ukraine to come across to us as a, quote, new war that's going on right now. Pablo shows us that there's nothing going on there, pretty much.
Well, Pablo from Ukraine, I've been talking about him for 2 years, and people laugh at me about this. He did a live. I've seen him do a couple of live streams, and people are saying, "Oh, Brian," too. And I've seen my name in there. People say, "Oh, Brian Craig sent," and he's like, "Who? What? Who's that?" But I like the kid. I have nothing against Pablo from Ukraine, but it is a look inside of the real Ukraine, That's
exactly why I watch it, to get the unfiltered version of actually what's happening there, because the media spreads BS and feeds us propaganda and makes it think it's okay to send this grifter money, who's worth $20 million, by the way, which also is another red flag. How is it almost a third world country leader worth $20 million?
Well, it is true that Russia does occupy a chunk of Ukraine's territory in the
Which
east.
they
I mean,
have
that's
right to do, because they've been there for a long time.
I don't care if they. To me, it's a civil conflict, civil war. I mean, when I went to school,
not ours.
When I went to school and took geography, Ukraine was like a province. It was of the Soviet Union. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden it's not. I mean, come on, and Putin's position on Ukraine is the same as Lincoln's was with the Confederacy. You don't have a right to leave the Union. States don't have the right to leave the Union. That was President Lincoln's position. With the Confederacy, and that's Putin's position with Ukraine. But with all that being said, Pavlo from Ukraine, I just tell you guys who don't know, he's a 20-something YouTuber vlogger in Ukraine, and I found him when the war first broke out, and he does vlogs every week in Ukraine. There's no war. He does home renovations. He works on cars. He goes on vacations throughout Ukraine, drove across the country. I didn't see any war, any action. And I just assume that the government of Ukraine doesn't watch YouTube, because do you think Zelensky would let Pavlo continue?
Neither does ours.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
do you think
Zelensky... How do our politicians... How do our politicians get clearance to go travel over there?
Yeah.
If it's such a war-torn country.
What do you think Zelensky would think if he came across Pavlo from Ukraine's YouTube videos? What would Zelensky...
He'd probably put him in jail.
Put him in prison. Yeah. He'd put him and his girlfriend in prison. And he's not political at all. And his whole channel is about life in Ukraine. He's on the farm with his family, his parents and grandparents. But sometimes he goes into town. I saw him go into a grocery store a few months ago. Oh my goodness! It was like luxury grocery store with fancy foods and cheeses and everything else. I couldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
So check him out, Pavlo from Ukraine.
I think it's BS. All of it. They're just pissing away our money. They're money laundering it. Taking money from us. And
when I was growing up, and Oliver Stone, who's a liberal communist, but a millionaire at the same time, and he's also a real jerk. I met Oliver Stone once.
Bernie.
Yeah, I met him once, briefly, and he was rude. He was speaking at a local university. And the school I went to, Florida Atlantic University, where I went to college, he was speaking there. And JFK had been out. He was so I went to see it, Oliver Stone. And he was just an arrogant, rude person. But anyway, a lot of what Oliver Stone talked about was the military-industrial complex in Vietnam and how it was a fake war that they put up. And I never believed that. Growing up. I always thought to myself, as bad as people like Lyndon Johnson are, they would never send American kids to go die in a war just so they and their donors could get rich. I could, and then we saw what Bush did with WMDs. Now we see Ukraine, and yes, these are evil people who will all burn in hell. They send people, American boys and girls, off to war zones to get killed so that they and their donors can get rich. And you gotta, and I wonder how many of our wars could have been avoided? How many of our wars could have been avoided? How many of them were we pushed it?
The Iraq War, for sure. That didn't need to happen because Iraq had nothing to do with, like Helen Thomas said in front of Dana Perino's face, Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11.
And you mean to tell me that George Bush couldn't have sent in special forces to get bin Laden? That a guy getting around on donkeys got away
from... Could have been just gone in and out, and that's it.
Exactly.
Just kill him and gone.
But we had a 20-year war. 20-year war in Afghanistan. How much money was made?
Yep. And all those guys we see on the commercials with the blown-up faces, that's all George W. Bush.
Yeah, I know. Every time you see a Wounded Warrior commercial on television, George Bush did that. So that he and Liz Cheney's daddy did that. And so I'm guessing that most every war we were involved in was like that. Come to think of it, right? I mean, it's disgusting.
But yeah, and really quick before I go, that cold I told you about I had earlier, it turns out to be I tested positive for COVID, so I've been recovering from that.
How bad was it?
Actually, the first couple of days, I had fever. I had a 101 fever. It's a new variant of COVID that's going around. I had a 101 fever. I actually ended up passing out in the waiting room of the urgent care I went to from dehydration and exhaustion. And then I had a 101 fever and chills, and that's pretty much it.
A friend of my wife, she doesn't live in town where we are. She lives in another town. She had COVID. She was in the hospital. She was hospitalized for it recently.
Yeah.
It was really bad. I've never had COVID. Knock on wood, I've never had COVID.
The first 2 times I had it, the only thing that happened to me was I lost my taste and sense of smell, and I had a fever. That was it.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
it's back just in time for the election.
It's going around again.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the election flu.
All right, y'all take care.
All right, take care. That's what we got to read. Yeah, exactly. All right, good to hear from you. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for calling. I appreciate it. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, okay? You'll love my content, I promise. I wanted to play this because this is just sad and sick and pisses me off. This is Presley and this racist thing she said.
I am so tired of white men failing up. This lack of accountability is a shameful, inadequate, and deeply unsatisfactory, and it is re-traumatizing. Chair Grunberg,
okay,
I am
re-traumatizing. Yeah, looking at her with her bald head's traumatizing to me. I'm tired of white men falling up. This racial stereotyping and bigotry towards white people, in particular white men in this country, has gone so beyond anything that I could imagine. The way that black Democrats talk about white people, in particular white men like she's doing, is the way that those racist Democrats used to talk about blacks during the era of Jim Crow. I mean, this is like the Klan in reverse. The skin colors are reversed, but the comments are what the Ku Klux Klan used to say about African Americans. And I'm an admirer of Martin Luther King and the great Rosa Parks and even John Lewis, okay, who from the Freedom Rider days, who sacrificed and did so much to unify this country together. And here we are all these decades later, and some people sacrificed their lives in the civil rights movement. And now bigotry is acceptable now, and we're just supposed to suck it up. This is just terrible. What we've had in these last few years, we've got this anti-white racism, this rise of anti-Semitism that's going on in our schools right now. I've never seen bigotry like this. When I was growing up, and most of you too, because it happened before most of us were alive or coherent, you see that old TV footage of the first black students going to the white schools, that when desegregation happened, they're being escorted by soldiers, and you see these white Democrats just yelling terrible racist things, and you see that, and I've always thought it's so crazy. How could people have been that way? So how could they hate so much people that are a different skin color? And I just couldn't fathom it, that things used to be that way. And now here we are again, and it was Democrats then and it's Democrats now. And this racism that is acceptable, I'm tired of white men falling up. Let me tell you, it's just as hard to be a white guy as it is to be any other guy. This idea that white privilege exists, my goodness. Sometimes I wish it did, because it'd make my life a lot easier, but it ain't that way. Now, things are easy if you're born rich, for the most part, but most people are not born rich. And I'm sorry, that is one of the most racist things that's been said by a congressperson in Congress since color television, okay? That's how the Democrats used to talk in the black and white era. But talking like that openly on television, and it's so acceptable what Presley said, that it's really not even in the news and no one's talking about it. You see it on X. By the way, do you guys, let me know in the comments, do you still call it Twitter or do you call it X? I kind of do both, whatever. Well, listen, guys, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. If you're already subscribed, do me the favor, like the video, and of course, support my content, support my channel by going to MyPillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Save up to 80% off top MyPillow products, all right? I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.